So starting the day at 53 for 3, England actually went to 62 for 5, but then recovered to post a total of 290. And then India came out to bat with a deficit of 99 and scored 43 runs without the loss of a wicket to end the day. और इस दिन के बारे में हम जरा ज़्यादा तफसील में बात करेंगे with our guest Neil Chakravarty, who is originally from Hyderabad, India, but is based in San Diego, California, on this volume of
CRIQAZI Diaries.
Have a look at that, smiles up, oh, it's nearly taken someone out the stands. That was a flat six right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like a rocket. Well, wicket 24.
Welcome to the show once again, Neil. How are you doing today?
Good, feeling good. I always end up being here on more or less a decent day for India.
Yeah, you have 2 out of 3 now, because I think India, I would say they're slightly on top. But anyway, before we get into the performances, Neil, I just want to talk a bit about the match situation. So India 56 runs away from England's, they're trailing by 56. And, day 2 and day 3 are renowned in England to be the best time for a batting team to come out and bat. And Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul look very, very set. I would say India are slightly ahead in this game, given that they did not lose a wicket today. And if they play out tomorrow, and they give England a target of anywhere close to 250 or ideally anything over 200, I think it's India's game. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think similar to what you said, but I feel it's a little more even than that. The problem is, I think our bowling lineup for this game is kind of different from the previous few games. If this was the same thing in the last game or the games before this, I would have been more confident about India. But I feel our bowling is pretty weak. So I'm not even confident of defending 200, 250. So I think we really need to more or less get like 400 in the third innings and kind of like bat England out of the game. Otherwise it's going to be tough because as you saw in the first England innings, even though we had that advantage with their opening bowlers, we really couldn't, because our backup bowling with this game isn't really at that high quality.
Speaking of that, I wanted to talk to you and pick your brain a little about Umesh Yadav. He's been in the circuit for about a decade now. I think it has been a decade. And, when he came onto the scene, all of India and the cricketing world was like, oh, there's a fast bowler for India now. And, he can do the hard yards. He can really stick around. But he hasn't really featured that much. And, he's always been a bit on the expensive side. Now, I'm not saying he wasn't good. I thought that delivery that he bowled to Root, no batsman in the world could play that. And then he also bowled a pretty good one to Malan as well. And he got you 3 wickets, but still gave away 76 runs in his 19 overs at 4 runs an over, which is quite expensive in Test cricket. So what's your take on Umesh? Are you happy with his selection? And what are your thoughts about his overall career?
I think if, as you said, he's been around for so long, and if you see the folks who have kind of gone past him and they are ahead in the pecking order now, I think today's performance kind of explains. So he hasn't really fallen away. There are a lot of players from that, those days who you'll not even hear of anymore. The
Praveen Kumars, the RP
Praveen
Singhs.
Kumar, RP Singhs, Srishant, all those guys, Parvinder Rawana, Ashok Dinda, all these guys, they came for a few games. Avishkar Salvi was pehle tha, but Abhimanyu Mithun, but Umesh had Varun Aaron actually. Umesh Yadav and Varun Aaron came together.
Yep.
Both were known for their pace. I think Aaron completely fell away. Umesh is still a good bowler. He is a bowler that is capable of doing it at the international level, but he's not as consistent as if this was India's fast bowling of say the 90s or even the 2000s. I think Umesh Yadav, you're probably looking at a 60-70 test matches player. But his bad luck and our good luck is that last 6 years has been the golden age of Indian fast bowling. So, that's why he gets to play only 30 odd matches, because that level is just not good enough. As you saw today, even on a good day, he kind of makes you feel like, there is not that consistency of line and length. And he is capable of getting any batsman in the world out. He's capable of churning out those spells. But he will bowl you the odd loosener here and there, which on a good day you will not see from a Bumrah or a Shami or a Ishant.
Yeah, and I agree with you that he is a bit of a workhorse, and he'll bowl brilliant delivery every now and then, but consistently not quite so much. And I was a bit surprised not to see Shami in the bowling order in this match. I mean, I thought he'd been India's best bowler in the series, and he can hit those hard lengths. He's consistently fast throughout his spells in the day, and I was really surprised not to see him. And then also, with the new ball, I think that even in the last game, Kohli went with Ishant and Bumrah, and in this game, I think Yadav and Bumrah. Whereas I feel like Mohammad Shami is the best new ball bowler, maybe after Bumrah. Specifically talking about the new ball, I think he's right up there. So I was really surprised not to see him.
It's a little weird though, because I'm not able to understand exactly why he's not there, because there are reports of a niggle, but there's also talk of they're managing his workload because he's played so much. My point is that's not the kind of gamble you take on the fourth test match of possibly one of your biggest test series in even if he doesn't play for an entire year after this series, I don't think anybody's going to care, because this is the series you want to win. We don't need him to win back in India. He can rest then. So I'm not, if the medical reports are like, Shami can't bowl right now, then you can't really do much about it. But if it's just a matter of them being cautious, I think this is the kind of game that you do take that gamble, especially already knowing that you are having to do away with another senior fast bowler in Ishant.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even if there was a slight niggle, they could have managed his workload during the game. But I really feel like he should have played. And on that topic, I was surprised, Neil, not to see Ashwin play in the Oval Test, because Ashwin plays for Surrey. This is his home ground. He's Ollie Pope's teammate, and we've seen what Ollie Pope did on his home ground. And this is one of those wickets in England where you expect a turn to play a major role in come day 4 and day 5. And I mean, Yasir Shah has taken 10 wickets over here in 2016. Abdul Qadir, I think, has taken 7 wickets in an innings. This is that one ground in England where you actually expect your spinner to come out and win you a test match. So Ashwin not playing this test match, I think that's going to, it's a very controversial decision by Virat Kohli and the Indian team management, because honestly, it didn't even have to be an either or thing with Jadeja and Ashwin. You could have played both, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you already know you're having your main frontline bowlers. I've always believed that in Test cricket, if you're playing 5 bowlers, if you're playing 4, I can understand you have to play around with your combinations. I always feel if you're playing 5 bowlers, you pick your 5 best bowlers, and Ashwin is among India's 5 best bowlers. The fact that he can't even get in after 2 of those bowlers who are ahead of him are not playing is very weird. So the only logic I see is maybe they read something in the pitch. Although, as you're saying, historically we know that the Oval is a place where spin does play a role. So it ultimately came down to I think, if you look at the combination, it's Shardul Thakur versus Ashwin, right?
Yep, basically.
So, I would have definitely, gone in with Ashwin. Shardul showed why he is.
Yeah. I mean, hindsight is 2020 also. Shardul scored a critical 50, 57. Without that 57, India wouldn't have been in the game. But then again, Ashwin offers you so much. He's your frontline spinner, 413 test wicket, 5 centuries, plays his county cricket at this ground, has been very successful for Surrey this year. He must be feeling really hard done by. And I mean, I feel like sometimes Virat Kohli, once he makes a decision, he doesn't budge from it. And I feel like you had to be a bit flexible over here. I was totally sold on the 4 seamers plus Jadeja combination, but this was the Oval. And I felt like things had to change. This was the perfect time to introduce Ravichandran and Ashwin into the series. So I'm equally baffled, as is everyone else. I was reading the news, and no one can quite understand this. But I feel like this is something that Kohli does often. When he makes his mind, he won't be deterred later on. And I think he made his mind after the first test.
I think he kind of made his mind after the World Test Championship final, which we lost playing the 3+2 combination. But again, as you said, every pitch is different, every ground is different, and also every combination is different, because the 4+1 combination is, you don't have 2 of those bowlers now. So you're going into your pecking order anyway. So you rather want the experience that you're losing out on Shami not playing, on Ishan Sharma not playing. even that in a tough moment, like today, for example, when we saw Shardul bowling against the the middle to lower order, he was bowling half trackers. This is a guy who the only way he can perform and do anything in Test cricket is by pitching the ball up and getting it to swing. He was the short. I read a stat that calculated that he was the shortest bowler from among both sides. And that's not because he doesn't know. अगर हमको पता है उसको भी पता है कि क्या करना है. But like he just doesn't have the experience to do it consistently at this level. And I think team management should have recognized that you're really cutting. If you look at the bowling lineup this time, Bumrah has the experience. Umesh Yadav has experience on paper, but if you're playing 38 test matches over 10 years, you really have never had a consistent spell of experience.
I think it might be 48, but chalo, that's still not a lot.
Yeah, but like you're kind of like you're always on the bench. So
only a second test match in England too. But then I guess we can't say much to Umesh because he was India's most prolific bowler, and then Jadeja gave him somewhat support, even though the people who Jadeja got out were that was their bad batting versus Jadeja's good bowling, I feel. And then Shardul, I felt like England really targeted him. Okay, he got Ollie Pope, but still, I think he was one of those bowlers that India really targeted. And then Siraj had a bad game so far. I mean, he only took one wicket. Very good one. Jagged the ball back into Johnny Bairstow, key wicket. But I think Siraj, we've seen him play much better in this series, and this was not up to par, this performance.
And that's to be expected, right? For a young bowler like Siraj, you expect a bad game to come at any point, because again, I come back to that experience thing. Like when you're losing people like Ishant Sharma and Mohammad Shami, you have to supplement the entire bowling attack with some, because as you said, Siraj had a bad game. We've been actually very pleasantly surprised how he's been so consistent so far. But that doesn't mean he's now suddenly a 30-game bowler. He's still somebody who's learning his craft at this level and who can have the odd bad game here and there. So that's another guy. Jadeja, again, he doesn't have that much experience bowling in overseas conditions.
Yep.
So you're literally looking at the entire bowling lineup, in terms of experience in these conditions, it's only Bumrah. So there, I think we missed a trick in getting somebody like Ashwin who at least has the experience of what to do in certain, to manage the tempo of a certain spell. I think we really lack that.
And quite honestly, the skill to deliver in any condition at this point in his career. I mean, he was pretty good in the World Test Championship final. I thought he was quite decent. And I'm feeling a bit for Ashwin, and I'm really baffled at this decision by the Indian management, Virat Kohli. Anyway, before we move on to England's batting effort, I just wanted to talk about Bumrah. So he looked really good on the first day, got both openers, but he feels a little overworked now. I feel like he's running out of steam, and he even got a cramp. What is your take on that?
Yeah, I think we are playing a very high risk game with Bumrah, putting all the onus on him, because at least today, I at least felt like watching that there were moments where we're like, when we the ninth wicket fell down and they were I think 60 runs ahead.
64.
And 64. So that entire period, actually, from the 8th through to the last wicket, it seemed a very obvious thing to do, like give the ball to Bumrah. And I was thinking that's the same too. But then I looked at the guy, like that guy, he's been overworked so much. So that's where you don't have any other options, because your selection has forced yourself into a corner where you are kind of being forced to overwork Bumrah. The alternative to not overworking Bumrah is to be leaky with your bowling. So I hope it doesn't have the injury is just what it looked like. It's not something he did bowl right after that. So
I think he did actually. Kohli kept bowling him, and also it was interesting to see that even with the old ball, like 10 overs before the new ball, Kohli brought him on, and then with the new ball he brought him on, and that you can't do that to a fast bowler in Test cricket. I don't think that's fair. But anyway, India, I think, still on a pitch that had gotten quite flat. They did well to get England out at 290. Maybe gave away too many extra runs at the end over there. Chris Wokes kind of took that innings away, because India could have ended this English innings with a lead of 60 odd, but they went on to get 99. And I think that's kind of cancelled out the Shardul effort in India's first innings. And maybe, in a way that makes this game all the more evenly poised. But I think that might be something that India, it may come to hurt them as this game goes on. Anyway, going on to England's batting, they started off pretty poorly, even though David Malan looked in great touch. He lost his wicket very early, albeit to a good delivery from Umesh Yadav. And then the night watchman also, obviously, he fell. So at 62 for 5, things looked very, very bleak for England. But then Ollie Pope and I think it was Johnny Bairstow, they really, really brought things back for England. And I mean, they both looked so good. Ollie Pope, I think, is a really underrated cricketer. He averages around 100 at the Oval. I think that's why he made his comeback in this specific match. And he looked very compact, played with a straight bat, looked very, very good. And I think out of all of these people that England have tried in the middle order, Ollie Pope is that one person who I feel is one for the long haul.
Yeah, Ollie Pope is, I think even in his first class record, he's got a very good record. Like
he's got an average of over 50 in first class cricket.
And that's not very common in the counties circuit. So, I think he's had a few issues with his, he kept getting out pretty early on, like not really constructing those innings. But like today he batted really well. He kind of, at certain parts he looked even more solid than how Root has been looking through the series, which is a big testimony to the way he batted. And in fact, the ball that he got out to, it was a really poor ball. Like it was almost on the 6th or 7th stump. Like he dragged it back. So I was, for him, I feel for him like he should have gotten that 100 because I think he deserved it. I think England needs batsmen like Pope to like construct a bunch of these innings, because otherwise, they have a similar issue with what we're talking about, Bumrah. Like the load on Root is unreal. So
absolutely,
and I mean, Root would have been very happy seeing Pope.
Yeah. I mean, he looked really, like his balance was really good. His head was straight. All of the basics Ollie Pope was doing right. And he was playing within himself. So I think you pointed that out really correctly, that dismissal was really disappointing given the way his innings had shaped up, such a poor delivery. And he played it on. And I mean, well, I guess when you make mistakes like those, maybe you don't deserve 100, I guess. But anyway, I think Pope definitely rescued England over here and is definitely the star performer. Talking about Johnny Bairstow and Moeen Ali, I think they both gave England what they needed at that time in the game. They scored their runs quite freely, and Johnny Bairstow always looks good, but for some reason he never gets past that start. He always gets to 30, 40, 50, but just doesn't carry on, and this has become a recurring theme for him. And then Moeen Ali as well. The way Moeen Ali times the ball, it's so pure. And you just love to watch him bat. But then also he has this penchant of just giving away his wicket, and that the way he threw it on that Jadeja delivery, I was really, I just wasn't impressed, because you're a veteran of 64 test matches. You should know better. And if you stick around over here, surely England cross a lead of 100.
Yeah, I mean, that Moeen Ali dismissal kind of like allowed India to come back into the game, because I think today, I think tomorrow is going to be a great day for batting too, but today was also a very good day for batting. So if Moeen Ali, Bairstow, if these guys really, did the sensible thing, they could have actually crushed and like completely battered India out of the game. So Bairstow I think he got a decent ball, even though it seemed kind of straight, but
that is Siraj's strength, bringing it back into the right-handers. So
and Bairstow also, he does bat in that manner, and it has led him to some success. That he's not, he won't really be more circumspect than it's needed to be. So I thought the Bairstow innings was really good. Moeen Ali innings was really good actually.
Yeah, great to watch.
Yeah, so I think he'd be disappointed. I think team management would be disappointed too, because if he can do just the things that he does for a little while longer, consistently, it's more always the him getting himself out than the bowlers getting him out.
I felt like that was the theme for most of the English batsmen. Okay, we'll put Bairstow aside. Let's say he got a good one from Siraj. But Moeen Ali, he threw it away. Ollie Pope, after such a good knock, I was not impressed with that dismissal. And then also Ollie Robinson, like, look, and every run is important over here. Why are you stall sweeping Jadeja? Just get in, get a single. Vokes is playing beautifully on the other hand. Get him on strike. So I felt like England, they gave away their wickets for the most part today because the wicket was very, very flat. And India, sure, they bowled not too badly, but England should have scored more runs over here. And 99 might not be enough, given that day 3 is probably going to be the best time to bat.
Yeah, and all this while we've been looking at, like, India really hasn't had a very consistent innings top to number 7 yet in this entire series. Like, I think even the one we scored a 400, we were comfortably placed to like go way above 400, 500, then we had a collapse. So if things click, which it seems like it's overdue for a while now, if it's this game, then I think England will really regret the fact that they didn't go away with the game when they had a great chance to do it today.
Yeah, I mean, they were at lead of 34 when Moeen and Pope were playing, and it seemed like the ball wasn't doing anything for India. The new ball was 10 overs away. Had Moeen stuck around for those 10 overs, maybe they would have been only 6 down at the new ball, and they would have had a lead of about 80 odd. So yeah, I think they definitely missed a trick over there, and England will be disappointed. But credit to India for fighting their way back into the game. And then they also got Pope. Vokes. Let's talk about Chris Vokes. This is a guy I really like. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Chris Vokes, even though he's broken my own heart so many times as a Pakistani fan. But he's just, in these sort of conditions, in English conditions, he's a very, very potent seamer. He's an experienced seamer now. And with the bat, I'd say Vokes has that quality to actually churn out runs way more consistently than he has in the past. And he looked so good today. Played with confidence, and he looked like a man on a mission. And he is the sole reason why that lead went up to 99, because India had England 9 down when the lead was only 64. He played so well with the tail. I mean, Jimmy Anderson, he protected him for the most part, and then he scored quick runs, and he could have gone even further had they not taken that or attempted to take that run in the end.
Yeah, I was really impressed by the way Chris Vokes batted, and he was doing the sensible thing. He was farming the strike. He knew when to like push, get the boundaries, and even the way he was charging Bumrah, and he knew the field is back, but he still backed himself to place it and get those boundaries. And suddenly you're looking at the runs were going 60 became 70, 70 became 80, and before you know it, you're chasing 100 at this point. So Chris Vokes, again, somebody who I think after the way he has played in this series, I'd be really surprised if he's not one of the first names in the team sheet. You kind of wonder over the years why it hasn't already happened, because he has everything. When his bowling is almost always consistent. His batting has the ability to be consistent.
He's a match winner. He can take England out of a hole, and he's done it so many times. So really, Chris Vokes, I think, is class. He was English Player of the Year, Test Player of the Year in 2020. And I guess injury hampered him, and that's why he couldn't feature in this game or series at the start. But definitely a candidate so far for man of the match if England are to win it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, Chris Vokes. Yeah. Let's see. I mean, there are 2 innings left. Let's see what happens. I thought the Indian batsmen were, kind of decent. They took care of the danger. But Chris Vokes definitely. I think he's the star performer so far in the series, in this game.
Yep, agreed. And let's go on to the Indian batting now. I think I like both Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul. It's so difficult to open the innings in England, and consistently, sure, there have been a few failures here and there, but consistently they've gotten India an opening stand. And once again, they looked quite assured in their stroke play, and they were playing with confidence. They back themselves to play their shots, and when it comes off, it puts pressure right back to the opposition. Also, Sharma was dropped on 6, or well, it wasn't really a drop, it was like a half attempt, which Rory Burns should have done better. And considering that England has already dropped 4 catches in the first innings, I think they really, really need to pick up their slack in the fielding if they are to stand any chance to win this game, because India will come out with the intent of batting out day 3. And if they drop their chances or don't attempt their catches and miss opportunities like that, it's not going to make for good reading.
Yeah, I think catching has been an issue from both sides. This series, it seems to be one of the running themes of the series. Rahul, and the sad part about what you said was that they have been giving us these starts, but the team hasn't really capitalized on them. But I think it's good to know that we finally have hit upon a pair that where you can trust both of them to get both bat out overs and also to keep the scoreboard moving. And they did exactly that. I think they had identical games so far in this innings. Both I think are around 22, and got a couple of looseners. They took care of them and batted very, very sensibly. Nothing rushed. No, even though Rahul has this tendency, but I like the fact that he plays inside the ball. So I always feel like if you have to edge it, you'd rather have the outside edge than get out on the outside edge than the inside edge, because at least you're making the bowler earn for your wicket rather than just leaving a huge bad gap.
Quite opposite to what Rory Burns does. He's always prone to the inside edge. But yes, I mean, I think they both, Rohit Sharma and Rahul, they were looking in supreme touch, and they have been the men in form for India. So tomorrow's going to be tricky because, it's quite cold in England right now. You could tell everyone was wearing sweaters, and you'd expect some moisture to come on the pitch overnight. And the first 15-20 overs tomorrow, I think they'll be absolutely crucial. And if India can weather that storm and get to lunch, losing maybe at most one wicket, I think they'll find themselves in a fantastic position. And what do you think? Are they capable enough? And can Rohit Sharma finally get his first overseas 100 in Test cricket?
I don't. It'll be a very brave person to bet on that. Because even when everything is looking great for him, everything is going great, you still feel like he just is able to cross the line. But I mean, of course, it can happen tomorrow. They might both get big runs. But I think tomorrow is a kind of game where everybody will have to kind of pitch in, have to get those partnerships going. And generally just keep batting sensibly, not think of stroke play a lot, not think of, there is no scoreboard pressure. It's just day 2. So just bat for as long as possible. It's the best day. I think tomorrow is going to be the best day of batting for the entire series. Day 3 on the oval, I don't think it gets better than that.
I mean, Yunus Khan, I think, got 218 last time he played over there. And subcontinent players or batsmen, at least, they generally tend to succeed at the oval. So I think this is more in favor of India. I'll still say that because they're only 56 runs away, and considering day 3 will be the best time to bat. And both of the openers have weathered the storm. They've seen off the new ball. Tomorrow is a new day. But, honestly, even if both openers do get out cheaply tomorrow early on in the day, I think the onus is really on the middle order batting now. I mean, Pujara, Kohli and Rahane, these guys need to score runs because they are the backbone of India's batting lineup, especially Pujara, because he's been given opportunity after opportunity with players like Surya Kumar Yadav and Hanuma Vihari in the wings. Who haven't gotten that opportunity. So I think high time we see some runs from Rahane, and Kohli also, even though he's getting those 50s, but he's just not pushing on to get that big score that we're so used to seeing from Virat Kohli. I mean, it's been 53 innings now. So what are your thoughts on, what are your expectations actually from this middle order in this innings?
Yeah, I just hope that these guys can actually get those, just bat the entire day. If we can end the day tomorrow but only 5 down, I think we would have done the job. Who gets the runs? It's tough to say because on paper all of them are capable of to get these runs, but also on paper based on their recent track record, they're all liable to a collapse also. I just don't want us to get to 6 or 7 before we've built a sizable lead. Because we know with India what happens once we get to those lower order batsmen. It's literally a flip of a coin. Anything can happen. So
I have an inkling that this is finally when we'll get to see the middle order perform as per expectation, because we haven't seen that. I mean, they've stuck around a bit, Rahane and Pujara on certain occasions, and Kohli, but you haven't seen them win a game or completely take the game away from the opposition yet, which we'd grown so accustomed to over the years. And this was one of the most threatening middle orders in world cricket, especially if you go back to that series in Australia. Remember the first one that India won? These guys were infallible. It'll be really interesting to see if they can turn the tide. And I mean, the openers, I think they've already kind of done a job. But of course, I'd back them to go even further tomorrow. I'd put this game at 60-40 India. Of course, England have every chance of coming back into it. And the first session tomorrow will tell us the whole story. Because if they survive that early part where there's going to be a little bit in the wicket for the bowlers, I think the pitch is flattening out quite a bit. And then when England come out to bat again, the pitch will start taking turn. And that will definitely, favor Ravi Jadeja, if anyone. So, yeah, I think that India are in with a solid shout over here. But of course, they'll lead the runs. And I think at the very least, a target of over 200. Ideally, 250. 250 would be that safe zone that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I actually feel we need to get a little bit more than that because I just don't trust this bowling lineup for that we've selected for this game because if you're under the assumption that things are going to get easier for batting, day 4 is also going to be easier for batting. Maybe Jadeja gets some turn, maybe Bumrah is able to reverse it a little bit, Siraj is able to reverse it a little bit, but you're still going to have a lot of, you're still going to be dependent on somebody like Shardul Thakur to bowl a lot of overs.
Of course.
And otherwise to give the others some breather. So I think we need a little bit more of a buffer because what you don't want to do is make those choices when you're in your bowling spells and then have to put the field back. You always want to have attacking fields, which also helps somebody like Shardul Thakur. Like he can probably get a few good deliveries, account for them. If there are fielders at the right position. So, and for that, you need a big target. I think 200 to 250 is still one partnership. Yeah, and like one partnership, and then you become a defensive, and then you're just waiting for mistakes like the ones they made, England made today. I'm sure they have their coaches telling them the same thing that, you can't be making these mistakes again.
So give me a number, Neil. Give me a number. 275, 280?
I think 300.
300?
300. Considering like if for us to get 300, you'll probably need to bat the entirety of next day, which means they have enough time to get 300. They don't need to, they can.
Yeah, time is not an issue at all over here.
Yeah, so they can take their own. So as I said, if we can bat out entirety of tomorrow, I think we will be pretty comfortable.
Yeah, and I think that is going to be the game plan, regardless. Like run rate will not be a thing. It'll be surviving all of tomorrow and getting to day 4 still on the crease and batting. And I think that will set India up pretty well. England, of course, on the flip side, will want to get India all out tomorrow and will want to restrict them to a target below 200. I think the work's pretty cut out for them as well. Just one quick thought. I just want to pick your brain on this, Neil. We've all spoken about how good a leader Virat Kohli is, which I agree with. The culture that he's brought in, the fitness standards, everyone has the self-belief and backs their ability to perform and gives their 100%. So the way this team fights, it's very commendable. I just want to talk to you about Kohli, the tactician. Sometimes to me, it feels like Kohli gets a bit too rigid as a captain. And if he's made up his mind, he's not going to budge from it. And sometimes in the process, he'll make howlers as far as decision-making is concerned. Like something that surprised me was that he did not take ownership of getting the toss wrong in the last game, whereas it was quite obvious that he got the toss wrong. So as a captain, as a tactician, how do you rate Virat Kohli and where do you think he falters, if he falters?
I think if you look at the trajectory of this Indian Test team, I think for the first time we've had a proper Test team, and I know Dhoni gets a lot of credit for being a really good captain. I actually felt his captaincy in Test cricket was not really at the
away series. I don't think he has any of those moments over there. Like India were pretty pathetic away from home.
Right. And at home, you don't really.
At home, I feel like you don't even need to have a certain person as captain, right? Like at home, India will always be strong.
So I think Kohli definitely has brought that change. And if you look at the back, when it comes to tactics, I think it's not just him, right? I think the way Indian cricket is going right now is the tactics are very driven by the coaching staff too. So it's tough to pinpoint where exactly something is going wrong. But one thing is Kohli and Shastri, they're both very similar personalities. So if you think Kohli is being rigid, you can bet that the combination of Kohli and Shastri makes things even more rigid. Mm-hmm. So I actually feel like, it kind of helps to have more of a complement. Like, I would like my coach to be a little bit more of a counter balance to
someone like Anil Kumble.
Well, with Kumble, it seemed like it was too much of a counterbalance. Yeah. So you don't even want that. But, we all know who's going to be the next coach of the Indian cricket team. Rahul Dravid's there. He's just waiting. He's already coaching the backup team. So I think something like that, somebody like that would be, would be the way forward. Tactically, so lineup issues, it's been happening for a while now. Mm-hmm. And I think because we've also had these miracle wins, it becomes a little tough to criticize because it feels like jo bhi kar rahe hain, somehow it's working. Yeah. Even though I feel like, on the day, for example, I've not been in favor of having 4+1 for combination since the beginning of the series, right? But it was working. But this game, it's very clear how it's not working. So I think if you ask Kohli now, he'll be like, but you know what, it worked. But you also have to kind of, as you said, you have to be flexible and see, take into account what's going on. And
especially when you have arguably the best off spinner in Test cricket right now. I mean, I would rate Ashwin ahead of Nathan Lyon. So yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, but anyway.
I mean, in my book, he's the best spinner India has ever had, and India has had some great spinners.
Yeah.
So.
And no mug with the bat either. But anyway, I guess we'll see if there was any. Ashwin gets a game in the final Test. That's only something that time will tell. But thank you so much for coming on the show, Neil. It's always a pleasure to have you. And
thank you.
Yep, that's a wrap, guys. Yep.
Always good to see the Chelsea crest.
Yep. There's one over here and there's one over there. So there are two crests.
Right. Nice.
But yeah, folks, that's a wrap for volume 37. If you enjoyed this video, as always, please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon in order to be notified about my latest videos. I'll catch you after day 3, guys. That's it for now. Kazi off the mic.
Have a look at that. Miles up. Oh, it's nearly taken someone out the stands. That was a flat 6 right under the stand there, the George Giffen stand, up into the members, and it went like